now we need to explain how we get to the Christmas we enjoy. And that's come through the Victorians. And who better to explain that to me than Dr. Tessa Dunlop. Tessa,
Hello.
lovely to see you.
Today I am playing Lady of the Manor, and we've got a real treat in store.
Excellent.
Jacob and I have come to Eastwell Manor, nowadays a luxury country hotel and spa. But before it was rebuilt in the 1920s, this was an enormous Georgian residence where Queen Victoria's second son Alfred, the Duke of Edinburgh, and his family lived. With impressive royal connections, it was quite the place to be seen in the late 19th century.
And of course, in among the shooting and the countryside frolics, the high point of the calendar, it was Christmas. Let me reveal more inside. Jacob, happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas. Oh, on
You
this occasion
won.
I've won. Now, tell me, Tessa, you are a great expert on the Victorian Christmas, which becomes the Christmas as we know it. Crackers are part of this. Where's the cracker come from?
Ah, well, this, dare I say it, is part French inspired. Don't let that put you off, Jacob.
I won't.
Would you like to take a pause for the joke?
I will. What does a snail do on Christmas Day? This is very good. I like this
Get
one.
sluggish?
It celebrates.
Oh, wonderful.
That's
Let
because-
me try now.
I think
Come
that's
on.
because it's been at the sherry.
So, the French part is because a confectioner, a British confectioner, none other than Tom Smith, goes over to Paris and discovers that bonbons are available, sugared almonds and the like, in twists of paper. So he runs with that idea and he attaches it to a cracker that goes snap. And by the later Victorian period, you don't just get a sweetie, but it's been replaced, in fact, by a hat and a small gift. Do we have a gift?
I don't think we do in this
Oh,
particular one.
they were quite cheap.
Well,
Am I allowed to admit that?
they're not provided by the hotel, which I think would have provided higher quality
Yes.
crackers. But what fascinates me about this, just the cracker is an example of it, that we think our Christmas is from time immemorial. All the things we do, all the things we take for granted are the invention of the Victorians.
They are. If you like, they turned Christmas into something of a religious part-time celebration. At the turn of the 19th century, most businesses didn't give their staff necessarily holidays for Christmas. That changes. By the middle of the century, it's been turned around, and we can give a huge amount of credit to the royal family for that.
Christmas starts in the Victorian period. It's partly technology, it's partly bank holidays come in towards the end of the 19th century, but also it's imitation of the royal family, isn't it? They do it, and therefore everybody else follows.
Which is one of the reasons why I've brought you here to Eastwell Manor. When it has its big Christmas moment, it is the home to Queen Victoria's second son, none other than Alfred, the Duke of Edinburgh, not to be confused with the later Duke of Edinburgh, Philip. Do you want me to take this off? Are you finding it a little distracting?
It's very elegant, but not necessarily necessary for the whole of our conversation. Prince Alfred comes here. It's his country residence. He's here at Christmas, and his daughter, who goes on to be Queen of Romania, Queen Marie, writes about it and what was going on.
Yeah, she absolutely loved Eastwell Park. She wrote a best-selling memoir that was published in the 1930s. She was the daughter not just of Victoria's second son Alfred, but also the daughter of Marie, Russian Marie, from the Tsar Alexander II. So extraordinary royal blood. And she writes beautifully of the import of this place, particularly, but not only at Christmas. Their first residence, if you like, their city residence, but she writes here, the Christmas tree was set up in the big library, whilst the presents were laid out on white-covered tables all around the walls of the room. But what mysteries went on beforehand. And quite beautifully, she illustrates memories of being taken away by the servants, and they all get to stir the very stiff Christmas pudding. A bit like, I imagine, what happens in your house in Somerset.
Well, I'm not sure we're quite as traditional as that, but again, this is where royal things then spread. So the Christmas tree is in the room, the lit Christmas tree, and that was something that Prince Albert brought back into Britain.
That's right. So her grandfather, Albert, as we know, was a German. He marries Victorian. They introduce the idea of this Christmas tree, and there are illustrations of them, I think, by the mid-19th century. The family, the Christmas tree, this idea that the beating heart of the British Christmas is royal and it's also popular.
And it's constitutionally interesting, isn't it? Because William IV, the last king to fire a prime minister, Victoria has lost constitutional power. The Great Reform Bill has taken it away. And the royal family has to reinvent itself as something. What is its purpose?
Yes.
And its purpose becomes the idealised family, focused very much on Christmas.
Beautifully said. They replace political power with popularity, effectively. And there is Victoria. She's hardly a hands-on mother, but she does have 9 children. So it's very easy to get the appropriate photo op, which her children then run with. And we hear this from Marie, who gives wonderful accounts. She says, at last, Christmas Eve was there, and the library doors, which had been kept closed for several days, were thrown open. And there stood the tree, a blaze of light. And the best thing is, she says, one of the most indelible memories of Christmas was, wait for it, the delicious fragrance of singe fir branches, so inseparable from Christmas.
So you're burning your house down to celebrate Christmas, which fortunately doesn't become part of the more general celebration. We've got mince pies.
Indeed we do.
But we've always had mince pies.
Well, yes, but in Tudor times, it was meat. Perhaps this was the first vegetarian movement. In the 19th century, it becomes sweetmeats are more commonly associated with mince pies as opposed to red meats. And therefore, it's safe for everyone to take.
No, it's not. They're definitely not vegetarian.
And also,
all the best mince pies have lard in them. Everything, in some sense, is always the best. Tip top, as they say.
would you like a little
Let's go on a wander.
to the Christmas tree?
The Christmas tree. And we can sing a song to the Christmas tree.
It's rude to sing with your mouth full.
So, Tessa, this is the perfect house for another Christmas staple, the parlour games.
Yes, and of course Marie remembers it as a child, seeming enormous, the ideal venue.
Well, it's not small, as you can see from that picture.
Now, it's rather wonderful, that, isn't it? Celebrating the new residence of the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh. Now, this was a time when Papa very much came to life. Otherwise, he was a rare father. That meant not around very often.
Well, fathers are often busy.
Indeed, Jacob, some fathers are often busy. But at Christmas time, the Duke of Edinburgh played the ogre for his numerous offspring. I don't know if that...
Well, it's a worthy cause. Yes, I've always modelled myself from The Mummy, the 1930s film, and the priest is reincarnated. And I wander around like this, and the children would flee in terror. Daddy, Daddy, don't do that. But now they're beyond that stage.
Well, with these hallways, all the lights were switched off. And in those days, pitch dark was pitch dark. There was no sort of Wi-Fi glow in the corner. And she said it was properly terrifying. But of course, all felt much better when the doors of the library were flung open and the tree was a wonder to behold. And do you know what the best thing about the Christmas tree was back then?
You tell me. The baubles, the smell of burning fir.
Indeed, all of those things. But sometimes presents would be embedded in the tree. Oh, look, what do I have here for you, Jacob?
Here's one you prepared earlier.
Indeed.
Oh, thank you very
A
much.
small
It's
gift.
absolutely delicious, just the sort of chocolate I like, so thank you.
Initially, of course, on Christmas Day, just little bits of fruit, chocolate, sweetmeats hanging on the tree. And later on in the 19th century, industrialisation, little wind-up toys, bits and bobs actually had to be laid underneath the tree because they were so prolific.
And it's industrialisation, mechanisation that means that affordable knickknacks can be produced and everybody can now have them.
Indeed, not just for royalty and those and such as those with large houses.
People like you, yes.
You took the words straight out of my mouth. Now, the thing is, if you eat a lot of chocolate, there's one other staple on Christmas Day that's a must, and that's the outdoor stomp. Marie was a great celebrator of the English walk. Will we take a little meander in the grounds?
As long as it's only little. I'm not a great one for extensive stomps in the cold weather. I quite like the burning fire, but a little walk to see the outside of Princess Marie's former residence, or the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh's former residence.
You mean you don't walk off your turkey? I'm shocked. Come hither.
Here we go.
Really, we should have Wellington boots.
Well, what could be better than this at any time of year. This beautiful countryside, elegant gardens, exquisite views. It must have been very happy for Princess Marie.
Yeah, it really is the best of England. And interestingly, we know she was hugely proud to be Queen of Romania, but always in her heart, she identified as an English woman. First and foremost, that's what she felt. And during World War I, she would always remind people, I have English blood in my veins. And when you come here, you realise why.
Yeah, but she did have any English blood, did she? It was all German.
Shh, we never refer to the foreign aspects of our royal family.
So you've eaten all your turkey, you're full to the gunnels, you've played your indoor games. What does the royal child do next with no TV, no iPad and not even any GB News?
Heaven forfend. No GB News.
I know, can you imagine?
Unimaginable, but come on. Even you couldn't compete with these spectacular grounds. This was the great outdoor playroom for children. They put on their sable-lined capes and their little boots and they kicked in the leaves and they climbed trees and things that have since really rather disappeared. We know that Marie went tobogganing, she skated on the lake.
I've tobogganed, my children have tobogganed. All this climate alarmism is going a bit far.
Yes, but Jacob, you're very old.
I am very ancient.